Minho subconsciously blurted out the last sentence. Jungkook frowned and narrowed. His eyes dangerously live. For some reason, Minho felt a hint of killing intent in his tone. What was going on? Although Jungkook had been gloomy all these years, his emotions were still stable, but tonight, why was he so irritable? Young master, what happened? Young master, I just said a lot of possibilities. Why did you? He only remembered one thing. Could it be he suddenly realized something more important? Who didn't reply to young master's message? Jungkook raised his eyebrows and sneered before putting cigarette on the ashtray. Do you want to die? No, I don't dare. And just like that, Jungkook hung up the phone again. Minho felt strange. Why did young Master John ask such a strange question all of a sudden? It was as if young Master had done exactly the same thing 5 years ago when he had fallen in love with his young madam. Could it be? Did young Master have someone he liked again? Minho's expression changed. Who was it? It actually entered Jungkook's eyes. At the same night, it was already late at night. Sokjin called doctor to treat your wound, as doctor told you to not touch water for a few days. And don't work. Sokjin feed you dinner and you eat awkwardly. You are helpless. How you gonna take bath? After dinner, Rowoon directly went to sleep. His face really resembled that person. 5 years had passed. Sokjin asked you to come back, but you denied because you didn't want to see that man's face again. But who would thought that you will meet him not long after returning into country? Moreover, it was kind of face to face. It was something that you didn't expect no matter what. Your eyes darkened. Later on, one of maid came to help you to take a bath. When you look at that time, it was almost 11. You clumsily wanted to check phone, but your fingers was wrapped with gauze and couldn't open the phone, so you went to study room to look for Sokjin. He frowned, knowing that you were still not sleeping. He was unhappy since Jenny was still working overtime and you were not with her. You were worried and asked him to pick up. He understands and nodded. You were satisfied and went back to your room. Kim Jenny, don't say that sister didn't help you, but she gave you a big chance. You smirked and went back to sleep beside your son. Next morning, you wake up and saw Rowoon sitting beside you, looking at you with a painful expression, making you stunned for a moment. Rowoon, you gently called him. His eyes turned red when he heard you call him. He looked down at your hand and pointed. Mommy, you are hurt? You looked at the hands wrapped in gauze and sighed helplessly. It's just a small injury. It's not a problem. Mummy is laying. He angrily pointed his fingers, snorting. Mummy wouldn't have wrapped so much gauze if it was a minor injury. Mummy, what happened? Tell Rowoon who avenged you. You tried to coax him, saying that it was accident and it will be fine within 2 days. He is so protective towards you and hugged you, rubbing his face intimately. Mommy, can you bring Rowoon with you when you work in the future? You refused as he's still kid and he need to go to school. He didn't wanted to go school and don't want to leave your side. But you explain why he need to go school. You work to have peaceful life. When he will grow up and you became old, he have to look after you. You had saved money to buy a house nearby his school. Rowoon wanted to be a soldier in the future, so he's very obedient kid. He always listened to his mother. While son and mother having good conversation, Jenny came and walked in front of you to check your hand's condition. Last night you didn't check your phone to look at the design, so you asked Jenny to take a look for you if you received any new client's request. She knew your password and directly entered the WeChat. Wow, your WeChat exploded. So many people added you as a friend. She took her phone as well and sat beside you, pulling business card. In one night, there was many customers. It's not very likely You also didn't believe because before your hands injured yesterday, there was not so many people who added you. Maybe someone is playing a prank. Jenny also doubted and randomly selected an account to take a look. That account was actually blank. It seems that account just used or created. And Jenny also doubt a key point that the IDs of accounts are looking same, so you both confirmed that someone was pranking. Maybe someone was spying on your work or company, so she dragged all accounts into the blacklist one by one, and there was one different account. She wondered if it's customers, so she take a look at the account. She showed the account to you. You took a look and vaguely felt that this account looked a little familiar. It seemed that you had seen it somewhere before. You saw the last number and your pupils shrank. You immediately looked at the introduction below. It was added through the business card recommended by Kim Dayon. It seems like Miss Kim recommended a friend over pass. She moved her slender finger to press, but suddenly strict voice came over. Don't pass. She was scared, with suddenly shout made her hands tremble and directly pressed through. Your expression changed and gritted your teeth. Quickly drag him down. She was confused and didn't move for a while. Sarang, what are you doing? This is a customer recommended by Miss Kim. If you don't add, blacklist. She was stunned. What? Why blacklist? Do as I say. Don't ask too many questions. You lowered your voice and your expression was ugly. She didn't dare to ask again and did what you told. She dragged that person to blacklist. You let out a sigh of relief and tell her to look for today's schedule. She went out. After a while, Rovun came with his confused look. Mommy, is anyone bothering you? She just heard the conversation. You smiled, telling that you added wrong number. Your eyes was serious. Even your lips carried a faint smile. The final number of the WeChat account. You knew it. Furthermore, it was added through the name card recommended by Kim Dayon. Yesterday, you naturally knew who you had met. You leaned back against the pillow and closed your eyes. Rovun wrapped his hands tightly around your waist as he leaned on your arm. Jungkook, what do you want by adding me on WeChat? All the directors were arguing with each other until their faces turned red as they don't agree with each other's opinion. Most of the directors are old men and the two men arguing were same age. Minho was sitting beside and watching as those old directors fought fiercely, and Jungkook, who was sitting at the main seat, was indifferent. Oh, he wasn't indifferent, he just held his phone and stared intently. It seems like he didn't care those people arguing since the morning he sat in the meeting room. He would occasionally take a look at his phone and put down again, picked it up again to look again. Minho paid attention during this period of time to his phone's interface. It happened to be the WeChat interface. He suspected that young master had called him at night to get him some WeChat accounts, but today Jungkook had been staring at the WeChat interface when it was work time. Even in the situation he was distracted, who usually paid attention to. Others are arguing and he is literally ignoring them. Minho was thinking about it when he looked at Jungkook's phone. Suddenly, he seemed to see Jungkook's phone vibrate. At the same time, Jungkook's body shook. In an instant, he seemed very happy as he quickly opened the interface. Minho secretly took a glance. Eva has accepted your request. You can start chatting now. Eva? Who's Eva? Minho was confused. Why did he never hear this name before? Jungkook had been waiting for this person all this time. It sounded like a woman's name. Minho sneakily moved closer, wanting to see what Jungkook would say to that woman, but a cold gaze made him scared and straightened his back. Forget it, his life was more important. He shouldn't be so gossipy. Jungkook wanted to send a message, but when he reached the chat, he found that he didn't know what to say. He hadn't seen you for 5 years and suddenly added you as a friend. Did you know it was him or not? Then what was he going to say? What are you going to say? He suddenly looked at Minho. Minho exclaimed, then moved closer. Young master? The first thing we usually talk about. Hi, how are you? Jungkook pursed his lips and didn't answer. It was obvious that he was not satisfied. Minho thought for a while. How are you? What are you going to say? Should I call you by your name? He was still not satisfied as Minho coughed lightly. How about, are you there? Jungkook's eyes moved, seemed to be quite satisfied with this sentence. Then he typed and sent out. Minho's lips twitched. It seemed like young master never sent WeChat message to other people. WeChat was his working mode and he always told people what he needed to do. Now he's actually complicated. Minho was even surprised when he saw the message sent. It was actually displayed on the screen. The message had already been sent, but it was rejected by the other party. Minho coughed lightly as he couldn't help but wanted to laugh. Jungkook obviously didn't react yet as he looked at the red dot and the following sentence. He narrowed his eyes and looked at Minho. What does that mean? The message had been sent but it was rejected. Minho didn't answer directly. Lee Minho. Jungkook's tone came with a hint of killing intent appearing in his eyes. Minho laughed dryly and explained softly, Young master, this means you have been blacklisted. Jungkook was speechless. Blacklist? Minho nodded, seriously explaining maybe other party had seen the details of account and blacklist after add into the friend list. He sighed softly, afraid that Jungkook would not understand. Jungkook's face turned gloomy, and Minho realized that he might sad much and quickly stopped himself, then straight. What if he lose his life? It's also because Jungkook asked and he spelled the truth. Okay. The veins on Jungkook's forehead bulged slightly. His fingers that holding the phone tightened slowly as his cold lips curled up. She blacklisted me. Does this mean that the other party know who I am? Minho was numb to it and nodded, thinking the possibilities. Otherwise, why would someone blacklist it? Jungkook stared at the WeChat screen he has added for long and waited just to know that he was blacklisted by women. It was funny. If you want to blacklist me, then why did you pass? He was unhappy. Minho blinked and tell maybe person mistaken. Jungkook's mouth twitched as he shot his murderous gaze at Minho. Two directors added Jungkook about his opinion. It was useless for them to argue because at the end the power to solve the problem was still goes to CEO, but who would thought that Jungkook just glanced at them coldly, not knowing anything. Minho exclaimed him about the matter. Since he didn't thought about it, he just postponed the meeting, making everyone stunned. He was too lazy to care about others' reaction. After picking up his phone and coat, he straight walked to the office. That woman, she actually blacklisted after accepting friend's request. It seemed that she already knew the person. She actually treated her future client like this. Very good. He sat in his office and changed to the another account. He wanted to add again, but he found no response. He came to his sense he had used so many accounts to add last night. If the woman was smart enough, would have guessed it probably. He was extremely annoyed and pursed his lips, putting phone on the table. He had already contacted the information based on his heart. He didn't expect to meet you there and suddenly made him this much restless. He closed his eyes and leaned back to the chair. It was as if everything had been messed up. You rested at home for an entire morning. Sokjin was especially concerned and called doctor again to change your medication. Your hands was better than yesterday and feel less pain. You wanted to go to the company but stopped by your brother. You're not allowed to go anywhere until your hands is healed. but you are a little angry as you have work pending and the clients are waiting. He was helpless and tried to exclaim that you shouldn't work for a few days as your hands need to treat it good. You couldn't react as you had lost your temper a little. You sighed and softly requested, "My brother, I know you care about me, but I will just go and take a look. Okay? I will not do work until my hands healed as you said." He helplessly nodded. Uncle Han was ready to send you as Rovon came to insist that he also wanted to go with you. Cause you're hurt, he's concerned too, and he didn't want to leave you alone. You didn't agree at first, then looking at his puppy eyes and pleading tone, you gave in. In the past, you could do whatever you wanted, but now you have to look at the small life, especially after meeting that person and looking at Rovon's face that was so similar to his. You didn't dare to think much. You didn't even know what to think anymore. Now that Rovon wants to go out with you, his appearance probably attract a lot of gossip if he was discovered. Sure enough, it was inconvenient to be in the same city, but you can't send him away from you. Rovon put mask, hat and glass almost covering his face as he seemed to used to it. No one will be recognized him in that way. You are satisfied hiding him from outside world. He followed you behind with his short legs. As you walked towards the company, the group of people who worked overtime last night, so they were all listless at work at noon. Some were sleeping on the table, some were playing with their phone. They didn't seem to in good spirit to work at all. When they heard the sound of high heels, everyone glanced at it casually. They straight up because no matter what you are still their boss, but someone didn't care much. They just curiously looked at little bun beside you. It was short and cute, dressing very stylish and fashionable. His delicate features was slightly revealed. Rovon talked fiercely with the person who talked rudely with his mummy. He sat obediently in front of the chair silently while you checked the drawing they did yesterday. Many was attracted by this little one and they couldn't help talking with him, and one of them also gave him candy. He didn't take it at first, then with your permission he took it and thanked. They are so stunned knowing that the cute little guy is your son, and some colleagues even misunderstood that this child was Sokjin's. But no one dared to say it out and smiled looking at this pun lavishly. As you never said that you were Sokjin's women or anyone, they assumed whatever they wanted. Even they doubt if they misunderstood. But how could a man spend so much time and money to a woman? They didn't think any relation name, yet as the society always like this. Most of drying you didn't give compliment but told them to improve, making them angry as they had worked hard yesterday overnight. Later on, Jenny came to take Rovun outside the meeting room. They both had deal about something. If Jenny did favor to him, he will send his uncle's pictures to Jenny. Not the kind of magazine or news pictures, but personally taken by him in his casual clothes, so Jenny's heart stirred and didn't take him away from you. Rovon didn't want anyone to bully his mother. If anyone dared to do, he will not be polite to anyone. End of the meeting, Bomgyo came and handed his drawing. He had some injuries and his expression was cold. As he went to sit his seat, this young man's work had already become dark attribute. Rovon also felt that Bomgyo's aura was cold. You recalled the day that young girl told about his life. Others might not be understand this man's talent, but you will dig out. You are willing to give him a chance to be reborn? There was new customer. She ran with her slightly pale face. Something bad come? Jenny looked angry and afraid at the same time. You helplessly looked at her. Why are you running so fast? Can't you just receive a client? She was so nervous that her throat became dry, but that customer pointed out that he wants to see you. You blinked. See me? She vigorously nodded. Her breathing was unsteady and face was pale. Her appearance meant that something happened. That client. She avoided your sight, making your heart beat fiercely without any hesitation. You immediately looked at Uncle Han. Uncle Han, please send Rowoon back first and tell me, brother, that I have some other matters to take care at the last moment, so I will take a taxi back by myself later. Uncle Han hesitated as Sokjin clearly said to bring back to you, as your hands are still not recovered, but you softly said that you will explain to your brother later and tell Ramon to be good, your baby knowledge. Jenny was greatly frightened. You took a deep breath. In these 5 years, you had rarely been like this. She had only been so frightened once. Before, when you gave birth to Rowoon, it was a little difficult to give birth as you had lost a lot of blood. Jenny was by your side and was so pale and scared even the blood on her lips ran away. Now you didn't expect to see her like this again. You had probably guessed who the person was, so you calmly pulled her hand. Walking upstairs, she felt that you were so calm and doubt why you didn't ask who the person is. Your calmness making her doubt clear that maybe you had already met each other. You knew long ago. Her voice was slightly trembling and you didn't answer. She guessed that person on the WeChat might be. It doesn't matter. As long as he came to be customer, it's fine. Your calm manner said that you didn't care at all. He looked around. The style of office was especially lively. On the table was a full moon. It's the very first time he seen this office that he felt very angry. His heart was stirred by all of this. Soon he would be able to see that woman. The second time he wondered what would be the reaction of that woman's after seeing him second time. The color of his eyes deepened as he heard the sound of heels coming closer and he suddenly clenched his fists. Door opened. After meeting him that day, you thought that you would be nervous, but when you walked to the office, you realized that your heart was actually so calm. It was probably because you tried to comfort yourself that day, or maybe you didn't take this person seriously. After entering into the office, you saw the back of man standing in front of your table. He was wearing a dark suit with his back facing. You could still feel the heroic spirit of this man. All the lines on his body were in a tense state. It was the kind of body that was very good. He only took a glance. You retreated your eyes before that person turned around, then walked forward steadily. Jenny followed you behind and stumbled into the door but almost bumped. Jungkook looked over for a moment. You softly tell her to bring coffee to the guest and she nodded, staggered, walked away as if she was drunk. A hint of helplessness flashed across your eyes. This girl.